welcome to another episode of Way of Life podcast. Thanks for joining us. So today we've got a really special guest, Esther Thomas. So she'll tell you a little bit more about what she does in her profession, but she is a clinical naturopath specializing in natural medicine and remedies. So Esther, thank you so much for being on the podcast today.
Thanks for having me, Matt. It's great to be here.
Yeah, it's so today I'm really just kind of wanting to explore what it means to be a naturopath. What is naturopathy? How does it kind of relate with the Christian faith? And then maybe we'll go into a little bit about your journey and what you're up to these days. But maybe we can start off with what even is a naturopath? Because many people might not know your profession or kind of have a different idea about it.
Yeah, good place to start. I think sometimes people are unsure what a naturopath is when I tell them my profession. And so naturopaths really are practitioners who specialize in natural medicine. So really it's a holistic approach to health. So we look at things like your diet and your lifestyle. We look at your mental, physical, spiritual health and all of these things and how they interact with one another. And then we give you the tools that you need to be able to go forward in your health. So we look at things like how your diet could be tweaked or changed. We look at supplementation, herbal medicine, and we're all degree qualified practitioners who specialize in this space.
Yeah, cool. Okay. No, I mean, that sounds quite holistic. It sounds like you're really, really trying to not just do kind of like a Band-Aid type fix to people's health and their journey, but you're actually trying to kind of do a little bit more of a wider kind of view on that.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
Yeah. So what led you kind of to become a naturopath? What was your journey in that?
Yeah, interesting because I used to work in community services work. That was what I first studied, worked in that space, supporting primary age children, and I loved that and I thought that I would be in that field for my whole life. And I started to develop a passion for natural medicine through my own health journey. So I, as a teenager, suffered in my health a lot. So I went from being age champion at school, really sporty, fit, going to the gym all the time, to all of a sudden not being able to get out of bed, suffering with chronic fatigue. And this really had a massive impact on my life. I took 6 months off school and I basically came up with every time that I went to the doctor, they kept telling me that there was nothing wrong with me because my blood tests were showing that they were normal. And so through researching and through these kinds of things, discussing with my mum, we decided that we would make some dietary changes. Which made a huge impact. And then I ended up starting to see a naturopath in my later teens, early young adult age. And he was a beautiful Christian man and he really, really helped me in my health. And it just was a light bulb for me. I was like, whoa, everyone needs to know this. Why are we not taught this stuff? Because this stuff is so key for our health. And so, so basically as I was working in my field, working with children, I just developed more and more of a passion. I found myself reading more things about health and dietary stuff. I started making like kombucha at home and all these things that were natural health related. And I was kind of seeking God, is this what you really want me to do? Or is this just a hobby? And got some pretty clear answers from the big man upstairs. So
that's always good.
So that's what led me into this field.
Yeah, okay. So what did you kind of notice the big difference was between kind of your journey, trying to find answers in mainstream medicine and then kind of going to a naturopath? What kind of stood out to you there?
Yeah, I think I was frustrated because for me, for my family, it was so clear to see that something was wrong. But for somebody who doesn't know me, a GP who doesn't know me, their conclusion was this was teenage basically they said that it was laziness, teenage laziness.
Yeah, wow.
Obviously I didn't feel like that was a good answer.
Yeah.
So basically they performed a blood test on me, and because they couldn't see anything noticeable, they didn't pursue anything else.
Yeah.
And that kind of left me in a place that was feeling really hopeless, because I was like, well, the doctor says that I'm normal, but I didn't feel normal.
Yeah.
And that was my kind of experience of just feeling frustrated and hopeless.
Yeah,
And is there
yeah.
even a way forward from here?
Yeah, so what did who was the naturopath that you ended up seeing at that time then?
Yeah, Dr. Alan Profke. So he had a clinic in the kind of Cleveland area.
Yep.
And really well known. You may have heard of him.
Yeah.
Beautiful Christian man. And he used to spend half the year doing free clinics in Vanuatu. And yeah, everyone loved and respected him. And so I had the privilege of being able to work for him for about a year
awesome.
before I started studying. And that really confirmed to me that, yes, this is what I really want to do and pursue.
Yeah. So in his approach with journeying with you in comparison to seeing, I guess, through the mainstream type thing that you were a little bit frustrated with, what was kind of his approach that was really stood out to you and made the difference?
Yeah, I think straight from the get-go, he just understood. He was like, yep, I understand what you're talking about.
Yeah.
This is probably what's going on. We probably need to address these imbalances. We probably need to look at this. We need to reduce inflammation in your body. And so he got me onto some supplements and different treatments that really made such a huge difference to my health.
Great.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's cool. So what do you have to kind of do to become a naturopath? Like, can anyone do it, or is it degree qualified? Or I wonder if you could kind of take us through that a little bit.
Yeah, I think sometimes people they may have met a naturopath or a so-called naturopath in the past. Unfortunately, there are some people who call themselves naturopaths that actually don't have qualifications.
Yeah.
Sometimes you'll meet these people at the markets or places like that. And they can turn people off because some people have this misconception of it's, just some lady who's selling herbs and tinctures and thinks that they're a naturopath.
Yeah.
But really, to be called a naturopath and have the qualifications and the registration, you need to do a degree. So I did a degree in a Bachelor of Health Science.
Yep.
Specializing in naturopathy. So it was a very intense degree.
Yeah, right.
I can't remember the amount of subjects I did, but it was the equivalent of doing 6 years of a normal full-time degree.
Wow. Okay.
So there's a lot of subjects, a lot of training, and it's very intense, very science heavy.
Yeah.
And all evidence-based research.
Yeah, how good.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's really awesome. So, obviously we've touched on the whole doctor versus naturopath type of thing, and I know just with conversations with you that you're not absolutely not against like mainstream medicine necessarily, even if you've had some frustrations in the past, but can they walk alongside each other? Like, are they at odds with each other? Like, I wondered if you could speak into that just a little bit.
Absolutely. Definitely throughout our degree, we were very much trained and encouraged to work alongside GPs and specialists. So there is on our side, no ill blood. We really seek to work alongside and to complement.
Yeah.
So sometimes people would call it alternate medicine, but I would much prefer to say complementary medicine.
Yeah, cool.
And so sometimes there is a need for you to be on pharmaceutical drugs.
Yeah.
And sometimes there is a need for you to do more mainstream medicine approaches.
Yep.
I certainly have in my own health as well.
Yeah, cool.
But certainly I don't feel that it's the first port of call. I believe that there are so many things that we can do by tweaking our diet, tweaking our lifestyle, by adjusting that state of dis-ease, which we say disease, but it's actually dis-ease.
Yeah.
Your body is in a state of, it's not fully balanced. And how do we balance that out?
Yeah.
And there are so many things, even supplementation wise and through herbal medicine that we can do. And also many of my patients are on pharmaceutical drugs as well. And so I then come alongside that, complement that with some natural things that don't interact with their medications. And we're trained to know how to do that we don't give anything that interacts with your medications.
Yeah, cool. So it's even something that you are trained in your degree to do that.
Yep. So we learn about pharmaceutical drugs and we learn about interactions and
that's good.
Yeah.
It's good that doesn't have to be a game of this versus this, but it can be complementary. But it sounds like the kind of approach of a naturopath is a little bit more, I guess you could say, holistic. It's kind of not as much. Again, nothing wrong with doctors, and there's plenty of really good ones out there, but it isn't as much of a in and out. Is that the kind of thing? And sometimes it can be a Band-Aid kind of feeling of a fix rather than a how are you going? Where are you? What's happening in your life? And kind of like you say, getting to the root cause of what's happening.
Yes.
Would you say that's correct for naturopathy?
Totally. And I think there's such a heavy burden on mainstream medicine, that there is a quick, you go to the doctor for 10 minutes, you come out with something. There isn't really the time to explore what's going on. And that's where we really can come in because an initial appointment with me is an hour. So it's very in depth. I ask you a lot of questions. I do physical examinations. I look sometimes at your blood under the microscope and look at how it's looking under there, how much inflammation's going on. It's very in depth and very individualized. So we really have the opportunity to get to know what's going on. And we also do a lot of testing as well. Blood testing, gut testing, all of that kind of stuff. So it's very in depth and very thorough.
And that seems to make sense to me because every person you run into, even in my own journey in ministry, is different.
Yes.
We all have a different background. We all have different experiences, certain things, good and bad, and everything in between that has happened to us. So it would make more sense that when you're looking at your health, you'd have to be kind of a little bit more contextual with that. You'd have to dig a bit deeper. You'd have to get to know the person a little bit more. So
yes, totally.
That makes a lot of sense. A lot of sense to me.
Yep. Absolutely.
That's really cool. So what would you kind of say to maybe some people that are a little bit skeptical of naturopathy, maybe being a little bit too new agey or kind of that it's a little bit odd. Like from what I've been hearing, it doesn't sound quite that crazy, but I wondered if you might be able to speak into that for us today.
Yeah, I think like I touched on a little bit before, there are definitely some people who call themselves naturopaths who aren't naturopaths, and there are some that operate a little bit more in that space. And I guess you could say do a little bit more of the woo-woo, the woo-woo stuff. But certainly as a degree, naturopathy is all science-based and research-based and evidence-based. So it's not kind of teaching those things. People then go on and specialize in certain areas. So I think if you're somebody who's feeling skeptical, then do your research, find someone who's degree qualified, find someone who you can see aligns with your values, and who practices in a way that feels comfortable to you. Does that answer your question?
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's really helpful because I don't know, this sounds like a pretty good holistic type thing. So you kind of don't want those barriers to be there. So,
absolutely. Yep. And I see people all the time who I guess have that understanding through their own experience of meeting other people who maybe a bit too alternate for them.
Right.
and that then becomes their mind set around naturopathy, or they might think it's witches who are just cooking up brews in their kitchen. And I certainly have some herbs in my kitchen, but I definitely
no potions here. Yeah,
I did have someone come around one day and say, "Are you a witch because you have herbs here?"
Right.
But no, it's definitely not like that. Everything that we use is TGA certified, and
oh, cool.
Yes, so
great.
it's certainly not that.
Yeah.
So do your research, find someone that you're comfortable with, and if you go to see a naturopath and you're uncomfortable, find someone else. Because there are, I would say, majority naturopaths practice in that science-based way. So just make sure they have that degree qualification.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. So I'm wondering if you can maybe give us some stories of like success stories of how people have kind of been impacted by this through your practice in particular. I think that'd just be really encouraging and for us to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. It's such a joy to be able to do what I do because I get to see so many amazing results in people.
Yeah.
And sometimes that happens really quickly. And for other people, it's a little bit of trial and error, especially if they've had chronic conditions that have been going on for a long, long time.
Yeah.
Sometimes that can take a little bit longer. Other times it can be quite quick. A really cool story that happened actually just this week is one of the ladies that I've been working with. Before she came to see me, it was about three months ago. She had a scan done and they found lesions and growths and things on her reproductive organs.
Wow.
She was having a lot of hormonal issues, a lot of gut issues, and also struggling with her mood. So being up and down a lot in her moods.
Yeah.
And so what I did is I did a gut microbiome test with her and figured out what was going on in her gut.
Yeah.
And so we started through dietary changes, quite a strict diet, to make some changes there. I also formulated a herbal mixture for her, specifically targeting her hormones.
Yeah, right.
And her menstrual cycle, which was not functioning optimally.
Yeah.
And then I had her on some supplements that were kind of really directing towards the gut as well as the hormones as well.
Yeah, yeah.
Anyway, so she came to see me the other week and she's probably, I would say, about 90% symptom free now.
Wow.
Just after 3 months.
That's incredible.
And feeling so much better in herself. She started exercising again. She started doing all of these things that she didn't think that she'd be able to do again.
Yeah.
And so she was on the waiting list to get that surgery done to remove all of the lesions and polyps and growths and things in her reproductive organs. And so she came in last week and she said that they had opened her up and they found nothing.
Wow.
So everything that was there is now not there.
Oh,
and they just closed her back up.
That's amazing.
Yeah, amazing.
So,
and she was
cool.
so stoked and over the moon that what we've been doing worked.
Yeah.
And that like made my day because
for sure.
it's beautiful to be able to see those really amazing turnarounds. And this is honestly the power of utilizing what God has given us in nature.
Yeah, that's really, really awesome.
Yeah. I had another lady a little while ago and she's had chronic fatigue for over 25 years.
Yeah.
And she's seen a lot of different practitioners over the years and never had any relief. And she came in to see me and then she lives, I think, northern Queensland. And so now I see her on telehealth.
Yep.
And she pretty much after the first consult with me, I got her on a specific supplement.
Yep.
She started to notice a massive change.
Yeah.
We also did a gut test on her. Often if there have been symptoms going on for a while, I will do some gut testing just to look at what's going on there.
Yeah, makes sense.
A lot of people don't realize how much the gut affects us. And you might think that you have to have overt symptoms going on in your gut to have something wrong. But I would argue that probably most people have something going on in their gut.
Yeah.
And whether this is inflammation, whether this is an overgrowth of bacteria, malabsorption of food, those kinds of things. And over 70% of our immune system is also found in our gut.
Yeah, wow.
So if there is something going on there, then the rest of your body is going to be struggling. So this is why naturopaths go on about the gut, because it is really important.
Wow.
Yeah. So basically we got her on a specific protocol of dietary changes again and some supplements.
Yeah.
And she said she doesn't remember feeling this good. And in the last 25 years, this is the best she's felt. And
that's incredible.
Last I talked to her, she was raising some baby joeys and getting out and exercising and doing all of these things that she hadn't been able to do for such a long time.
That's incredible.
And and so again, the amazing positive effects that has on your lease on life, your emotions, how you feel. It's not just physical, but it's like, whoa, actually I have a whole new lease on life now. I can go out and do the things that I wasn't able to do before.
Kind of gives you the energy and everything, or aiming for everything that you need to live a healthy and vibrant life, by the sounds of it.
Absolutely. Yeah. So that's amazing. It's an absolute joy to be able to work with people and see those results in their health.
Yeah, that's really, really cool. What are some of the things that you you obviously do a wide variety of different things that people are doing and going through symptom-wise and disease and so on and so forth. But is there some stuff that you're particularly passionate about?
Yeah, I mean, I work with people of all ages and genders as well. So I particularly love working with chronic fatigue. Obviously, that's part of my journey.
Yeah.
So I can really relate to people on that. I love working with hormones and menstrual irregularities and those kinds of things. As someone who's suffered with endometriosis, I also relate to that. So that's an area that I can really support and help people from a place of I've been there, I understand.
Yeah, absolutely.
But again, like I work with all kinds of illness, poor immunity, getting sick all the time, like with children as well as adults, hormone issues, acne, gut issues is a huge one. And even supporting men's prostate and all of those things. There's heaps of things. So, I mean, there's some naturopaths who only work with this specific illness. I tend to be a little bit more broad. I also love the challenge of working with all different kinds of conditions.
It's good.
And I love being able to welcome anyone.
It's good.
So I don't want to just work with females. I love working with males as well. I love working with kids and teens and parents and older people. So,
Yeah, that's really cool. It's cool, particularly to hear kind of how things have come up through your own journey, and that's particularly passions of yours and something you can really, really relate with. And fatigue in general, maybe not chronic fatigue, is something that I think most people feel like. I've felt it in different levels where you're kind of like, man, I just do not feel any energy. I just feel flat. And life can be really busy. There's a lot going on. So to hear that you can kind of, even if you're not in a chronic state, that you can still give some answers, that you can kind of journey with people.
And even in the day-to-day, like stress, anxiety, depression, all of these things that come up for people, there is so much that you can do naturally to support those things as well.
Great.
Whether it's acute stress of just there's a stressful situation going on, or acute anxiety or acute depression, or things that have been going on for a long time. There is so much that we can do, and sometimes people don't realize that.
Yeah, for sure.
Often there can be an underlying imbalance, so we obviously try and figure out what's going on there. But even symptom-wise, we can manage that in a more natural way as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, I like that, because there's like a holistic aspect to it, because some people really feel down. They really feel worried and anxious about things. And there's many things you can do, and you can see counselors, psychologists, and so on and so forth. But absolutely, like going back to your more holistic view, is that like absolutely see a counselor.
Yeah.
But also like we can work with your physical body with supplementation and working out where you're at, which I find really, really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah. That's cool. And I figured that's really good for, I think I work with teenagers in particular a lot, and young adults, and I think of exam times and just the craziness of what a lot of kids, like high school kids in particular, have to do. Like the amount of assessment that they have in comparison to when I was at school. I just don't know if I was just oblivious to it or something like that. But far out, every week when I talk to them, they've got this, and they've got this, they've got this amount of assignments, and they've got this amount. And I'm like, I hardly did this in uni. Do you know what I mean? So to have, like, how would you...
Intense.
How would you support someone, I guess, going through that and just the day-to-day teenage life that kids have?
I have some videos that I've recently just done on my Instagram page as well for that. As it's exam time, I've talked to quite a few teens who are very stressed at the moment, and it's so understandable. I don't even know how I passed high school, to be honest, because I did not have that same drive and passion, and I definitely did not study science because it was not what I was going to do, and I have regrets about that. It would have helped me in chemistry and biology 101 in uni, but
seems
here
like
we
you're
are.
going all right.
We got there through many palm cards. But yeah, totally. So there's definitely lifestyle things you can do. Even the simple things, like I said before, the barefoot grounding, daily sunlight exposure, learning how to do calming breathing, simple things like even essential oils. That's a bit of a woo-woo topic. Naturopaths,
essential oils, lady.
aren't crazy about essential oils, but they do have a place, and we use them sometimes. So things like rosemary is so good for your cognition, and sniffing rosemary or rosemary oil can really help you in your learning, or having a rosemary tea. And supplementation wise as well, often teenagers are put on anti-anxiety medication or antidepressive medication, and so we prescribe similar things that are in their more natural constituents. So you know, even things like Valium comes from a herb called valerian, and it's in its natural whole form, so it has the same effects on the body, but it's not putting the stress on your liver and having those ill side effects as well. So there's a lot that you can do. Cool. Herbs are actually amazing. They got me through uni. Ginkgo, man, so good for your brain. Chamomile to keep you calm at night. Lavender, all of those things are so helpful. And simple things like magnesium. Everyone needs magnesium in their life. And that helps you with your stress and your anxiety as well. So
absolutely. It's really cool to know that there's plenty of stuff you can do. Particularly for the next generation. That you can journey with them.
Yeah, and I think I would encourage you to work with a practitioner, because there's a lot that you can get, like I said, from the chemist that are just not quite right for you maybe. Sometimes I think that's the danger of social media marketing for products. It's like a one size fits all. This is amazing for your energy, or this is amazing for your stress. But it really depends on what that driver is of your stress or your anxiety or your gut issues or whatever it is. So I would encourage you to work with someone and really understand what's going on so that you can take the best thing for you.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
No, that's really good.
Yeah.
So... yeah, that's really cool. So how does that, obviously you're a Christian, Esther, and you treat and journey with people with all faiths and all thoughts, but how does, like, for yourself, being a Christian, how does naturopathy and your Christian faith kind of come together if they do?
Yeah, it's a great question, Matt. I think there's a deep understanding of the spiritual aspects to health as well, that we're not just a physical being, but we're also a spiritual being. And I know, you know, in that journey of my own health, how much that me being physically sick affected me in my mental health. I was low. I would cry almost every day. I was spiritually just felt like I don't have hope, so I don't want to pray. I don't want to do anything. And my emotions, like I said, I was crying all the time. And so there was a deep understanding of that. If something is out of balance in the body, the whole body is out of balance. And that really reminds me of how God created us. So as a whole being. So, if you look in the Bible, Jesus's greatest commandment is to love the Lord your God with all your heart, with all your soul, with all your mind, and with all your strength. So that's a whole encompassing thing. And if you look at that word love, it's not just a feeling, but it's actually an action. And so when we love God, we serve him. When we love others, we serve others. And how can we do that if our body is out of balance? And so as a Christian, I love to be able to bring those aspects into it. So not just, one of the biggest questions that I ask people when they come in is, was there anything significant that happened at that time that your symptoms started? And I would have to say at least 50% of the time, people will say, oh, yeah, I went through a marriage breakup, or something happened at my church, or, I moved out of home, or something significant of a life change happened. And we can see that these symptoms have much more to them than just something physical, that there is emotional, spiritual, mental elements going on as well. They're
kind of connected a bit more.
Absolutely. Yeah. And so that's the beauty, I guess, of getting to do what I do. And many of my patients who I know who are Christians, they know I'm a Christian. They often just come in, and sometimes in tears, and they just want me to sit and pray with them, encourage them, as as give them physical support. So it's a beautiful privilege that I get to do that. And like you said, I work with everyone, so it's not just Christians.
Absolutely.
But being able to bring that spiritual aspect in is really beautiful.
Absolutely. Yeah, I like it. It looks at people as a whole, rather than kind of, sometimes it feels like people's health can get treated as just the physical, rather than seeing as like you say, like the greatest commandment, seeing as your whole person, like your soul, your heart, your mind, your emotions, your spiritual aspect of who you are, and how they feed into each other. That makes a lot of sense to me. Which is really, really cool.
And certainly, like, every naturopath who's done a degree is trained in where we see that this is out of our scope of practice as well. So I just want to reiterate that I don't feel like I can fix everything. I'm here to come alongside you to support you. And if I identify that there is something there that's a little bit more serious, a little bit more out of my scope, then I'll certainly refer you on to your GP, to a counsellor, whatever it is, so that you can get the support that you need.
Absolutely. But it sounds like you're more of kind of you care about the whole person. You want to journey with them as a whole, not just like, okay, what's happening in your body, but what's going on outside of that, and just work as best as you can with each person's kind of context, which is really cool.
And I think people feel that difference.
Oh, for sure.
So often when people walk into my office, there's a real sadness and a real hopelessness on their face. And I would say at least 95% of the time, people walk out with a smile and a fresh hope. And it's such a joy to be able to bring that to people, that they know that someone's been so thorough because they genuinely care and want to get to the bottom of what's going on.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. That's really, really cool. So what other kind of biblical kind of grounding? Because I know even I just think about how you were talking about how we can use God's kind of creation, the natural resources that we already have. And it makes sense even from kind of a Genesis 1 type of look, where you've kind of got God's kind of be fruitful and multiply, subdue, and kind of use the creation to bring flourishing to humanity. And that's one of the core things that we were created to do. And obviously it seems like one of those things would be to use those resources for the flourishing of you physically. So I wondered if you might be able to speak into that a little bit?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think one of the biggest things that blew my mind is doing chemistry and especially pharmacology and looking at the constituents of plants. And it's actually so crazy. The little individual constituents that make up plants, that make up herbs, that make up our food, and how they all work together. Some of them synergistically together, that they don't work unless the other thing's there. And how there are so many different foods and herbs and things for very specific conditions. And I think it'd be pretty hard to argue that that's random, in my opinion. When I did those subjects, it blew my mind. I was like, whoa, God is so cool that he created all of these things in such a unique way to be discovered and to be utilized. There's a really beautiful scripture that I love. I'll just read it for you. It's in Psalm 104, verse 14 to 15. And it says, he causes the grass to grow for the cattle and herbs for the service of man, that he may bring forth food out of the earth, and wine that makes glad the heart of man, and oil to make his face to shine, and bread which strengthens man's heart. And that's so beautiful. It's talking about all those different things that God has given us to be enjoyed and to be used for our good. And I think that's so cool that God knew exactly what we needed. He set us up to thrive, and he set us up in a way that we can discover these things and utilize them for our good.
Absolutely. And I love that even though this is like a fundamental belief of yours, is that you don't even have to necessarily believe in God or the Christian faith in order to see this in creation.
Amazing.
I think you can actually... you can see that it is made that way. There's something more to it, like you say, and we can actually use what the earth has given us for the flourishing of humanity and to help us, which is really, really cool.
Yeah, and even more so, like looking at there's a lot of research that's being done at the moment about when your feet are on the earth, and to some people straight off the bat it might seem like a bit of a hippie idea of like get your shoes off, walk around on the grass. But there is a lot of research being done of actually when your bare feet are connected to the ground, not the tiles but like the grass or the dirt or the sand. You know when you walk along the beach and how you feel like like I can breathe, I feel
air,
good, I feel better.
Sand between your toes. Nice.
Yeah. And they're actually showing how this reduces inflammation in the body, how this heals the body, and how this, for your mental health, improves your mental health, your sleep. Even some people with chronic health conditions, things very serious like MS, who have lost the ability to be able to walk through daily grounding and barefoot exposure to the earth. Some of them have been able to walk again because the inflammation has been so reduced. And this makes so much sense if we understand God creator created this earth. He created us as part of this earth. And I think a lot of our dis-ease as well has come from us being so disconnected from creation, from being out in nature. And I know for myself a lot of the clarity comes from being out in nature.
Absolutely.
The native Indians knew this. When somebody was sick in their culture, they would often dig a hole and lay the person in the hole until they were better because they knew that there was so much healing power from the earth. And this is from God.
That's so cool. Absolutely. So this seems like there's so much you can tap into. So what kind of stuff do you give in terms of supplementation and things like that? Wonder if you could maybe give us a little bit of an insight into that.
So like I said, often a big part of our ill health can come down to our diet and our lifestyle. So we want to address this as a primary thing. So we analyze, what does your lifestyle look like? Is there anything that we can change, adjust? And then we look at your diet. Are you eating enough protein? Are you eating enough vitamins and nutrients in your food? What things are super inflammatory that you're eating that you can reduce? All of these things. And it's very individualized because it's not just one size fits all in terms of a diet.
Yeah.
Depending on what's going on for you, we may need to eat specific foods and reduce specific foods.
Yeah, cool.
Don't worry, I'm not going to tell everyone to go off gluten and dairy, although sometimes I do have to tell people to go off gluten and dairy.
Yeah.
Definitely, it's
Sometimes
not an
it's
every
for the
person
best.
thing.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's only for a short term as well to heal what's going on.
Kind of reset.
Yes.
Yeah.
And then we use nutritional supplements as well. And these are very high quality supplements. So they're not the same that you would get from the pharmacy. So sometimes the dosages of those are quite low, and that's why you can go and get them off the shelf. But the ones that we use are very high quality and higher potency, and that's why they can often be that little bit more expensive, because you're getting a much higher potency and a much higher quality in supplements. And sometimes people have a whinge about that. Oh, I can get this for $10 at the chemist, but it's $30 from you. And this is the reason why. And often the other things are filled with nasty fillers and things like that that actually are not doing good things for your body.
Yeah.
So we use really high quality supplements.
Yeah.
And also herbal medicines. So this can look like liquid herbs, which is usually herbs that are extracted in alcohol or in glycerin.
Yep.
And the great thing about that is that we can combine different herbs depending on what's going on for you. So say you come in with some gut issues and some skin issues. I can combine herbs that are treating both of those things in one bottle.
Yeah.
We also compounded and used powdered nutrients and make individualized compounds for people. So if you're like, you need some zinc and some magnesium and some B vitamins, we can do that all in one.
Yeah.
And then we can use things like herbal teas and things like that as well.
Cool.
And we make creams for people and that kind of thing.
Yeah, cool. And you do this through your own clinic, obviously.
Yeah.
I wondered if you could tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, sure. So I have a natural health clinic in Springwood, Queensland.
Yep.
And in a great convenient location. It's right off the highway, which is really cool. And so this is a multimodality clinic. At the moment, we offer naturopathy and remedial massage.
Who doesn't like massage?
Yes, and our massage therapist is amazing. So if you need a good massage, she's your go-to gal. And I offer both in-person and telehealth appointments. So I see people all across Australia and worldwide as well. So we have the ability to see people from anywhere.
How good.
Yes, which is great. And it's all set up online. And if you do order anything, we can post it to you anywhere in the world. So that's really cool.
Yep.
So you can check that out on our website if you're interested in that.
Yeah, great.
So that's called Olea Health, and so it's oleahealth.com.au.
Yeah, cool. Well, that's awesome. Well, Esther, it's been really awesome having you on this podcast today. And how can we be supporting you and your journey?
Yeah, thanks, Matt. Like I said, visit the website, have a look and see if there's anything that you'd be interested in there. There's also some free resources. We have a blog on there. If you want to sign up to our newsletter and you're not a patient of ours, just send us an email and we can add you to the newsletter. That comes out each month, and there's a lot of free resources in there as well. I also have just started a blog called the Christian Naturopath. So you can also find that on the website.
Cool.
And follow our social media. So we've got a Facebook, which is Olea Health, and an Instagram, which is olea.health. And there's heaps of free content on there as well. So please reach out. Send us an email as well. Our email address is south@oleahealth.com.au. If you have any questions about how we might be able to support you, we'd love to journey with you.
Well, that's awesome. Well, I've certainly learned something today. So, and we just wish you the best on your journey. And guys, if you're keen to get in touch with Esther, we'll put the links below as well, but you can go to Olea Health, oleahealth.com.au, and you can book online or give them a call or an email. But yeah, I hope you guys found this helpful. Feel free to give it a like and share if you have. And then, until next time, have a great rest of your week.